I know it sounds really weird, but have you guys ever wondered what if Kaiser and Isagi were actual brothers? That basically means they grow up and play football together. How would that impact the entire storyline? In this video, we will figure that out. For them to be brothers, we have to assume that either Isagi is German or Kaiser is Japanese. To make things easy, we will just assume that Kaiser is Japanese here. But how will this happen? We can just assume that Kaiser's family didn't want him when he was born and threw him off to a ship where he reached Japan and got adopted by Isagi's family. Now this is where the actual story begins. Kaiser never truly understood why he was different from the other kids around him, but he didn't think too hard about it. Not when he had Yoichi Isagi as his brother. The two of them grew up as football maniacs. Not geniuses, not child prodigies, just kids obsessed with improving. They weren't naturally gifted, but they had each other. And together, they became unstoppable. Every after-school hour was spent on the field. They pushed each other, challenged each other, and celebrated together. Their chemistry was unmatched. Isagi's vision and adaptability, paired with Kaiser's sharp instincts and refined technique, created a duo that obliterated other schools. But everything changed the day Kaiser accidentally discovered a set of old adoption documents in a storage box. In a moment, his entire world turned upside down. The truth about his past, the fact that he was sold off by his real family and brought to Japan, hit him like a train. The pain didn't come from being adopted. It came from not knowing. From living a life built on a lie, all he wanted was to be loved. But he misunderstood that at a very early age. He became distant. He didn't laugh as much. He started training alone, almost obsessively, as if he had something to prove. Isagi noticed the change, and one day, he finally confronted him. Kaiser snapped. "You're not my real brother," he said. "You just feel sorry for me, don't you? Some abandoned kid your parents took in." Isagi was stunned. He tried to explain how he never once saw Kaiser as anything but his true brother, how everything they built was real. But Kaiser refused to listen. In his eyes, Isagi had everything he didn't. Real family, real roots. Kaiser decided that from now on, he'd forge his own path, not as someone's adopted brother, but as someone worthy of being recognized. The regional finals were around the corner. Despite their falling out, both Kaiser and Isagi were still on the same team, and they were just too good to be stopped. They made it through the early rounds, dominating weaker schools with ease. But the cracks were showing. Their famous link-up plays had vanished. They barely talked on the field. It was as if two solo players were trying to carry one team. Then came the final match. It was against Kira's team. Yeah, that same old Kira who gets his ass whooped by Isagi later on. For the first 15 minutes, Isagi struggled to break through. Kaiser barely touched the ball. Miscommunication led to a defensive error, and they conceded first, 0-1. But that goal woke them up. Isagi began reading the field more clearly. He started drifting wide, dragging defenders out of position. Slowly, spaces began to open. He made a darting run and finally broke through the lines. A perfect 1-2 with the midfielder, and Isagi made a perfect assist, and the score was now 1-1. This made the opponents realize just how huge a threat Isagi is. They sharpened their press around him. But then, it happened. Kaiser got the ball near the edge of the box, and without thinking anything, he shot. Kaiser impact. The ball rocketed past the goalkeeper into the top right corner. Everyone froze. It wasn't just a goal, it was a statement. Isagi got too excited and wanted to celebrate with Kaiser, but got totally ignored, just like my crush ignored me yesterday. With a 2-1 lead, the final whistle blew. Victory. But there were no hugs, no smiles between the brothers. Without thinking, Isagi ran toward Kaiser, hoping to celebrate. But as he reached out, Kaiser shoved him away. Isagi froze, confused, and asked what was wrong. Kaiser looked at him calmly. "You're not my real brother. You're just holding me back." Isagi questioned him, but Kaiser continued, saying that he carried the team and that Isagi was just a support player. He believed he was destined for greater things and didn't want to be dragged down. After the match, reporters swarmed Kaiser. His goal, Kaiser Impact, was the highlight of the tournament. People began calling him the next big thing in Japanese football. His name started trending online. Headlines praised him as a future star. Meanwhile, Isagi's efforts were barely mentioned. In the days that followed, Isagi trained alone. He didn't respond to Kaiser's remarks. He focused on getting better. Then one morning, both of them received letters. They had been selected for a new project. Blue Lock. Isagi was thrilled. This was his chance to stand out. Kaiser, on the other hand, wasn't interested. He had already received an invitation from the Japan U20 team and saw no point in joining an unknown training camp. Isagi didn't argue. He packed his bag and left on his own. Seeing this, Kaiser decided to join him, not out of interest, but to see what Blue Lock really was. At the facility, Isagi ran into Kira, who recognized him as Kaiser's brother. Kira praised Kaiser's performance and mentioned how impressive his Kaiser impact was. Isagi didn't say much. Shortly after, Jinpachi Ego appeared on the large screen. He introduced himself and explained the purpose of Blue Lock. Out of 300 strikers, only one would earn the right to represent Japan. Everyone else would be eliminated. He made it clear. This was not a team project. This was survival. Kaiser didn't seem impressed. Isagi, however, took it seriously. As soon as the speech ended and the gates opened, Isagi walked toward the facility with purpose. A few seconds later, Kaiser followed behind, hands in his pockets. Blue Lock had begun. Before the team matches began, Ego announced a special tag team trial to test the players individually. The rules were simple. One player would be it and try to eliminate others by scoring a goal against them. Once tagged, the eliminated player would be immediately removed from Blue Lock. It was a high-stakes warm-up meant to shake the players out of their comfort zone. Kaiser didn't take it seriously at first. He stood near the edge of the pitch, arms crossed, watching as others scrambled. He wasn't interested in chasing after weaker players. Most of them weren't worth his time. Isagi, meanwhile, kept moving, analyzing the flow of the game, and staying out of risky confrontations. Toward the end of the timer, with only a few seconds left, Kira, who had been playing smartly and avoiding direct conflict, panicked. With limited options, and knowing he had to pass the tag to someone, he turned and quickly tagged Kaiser. Kaiser stopped in place. He didn't say a word, but his eyes narrowed. The whistle hadn't blown yet. There were only a few seconds left on the clock, but that was enough. He stepped forward without hesitation, fired a Kaiser impact straight at Kira. The shot was brutal and precise. The ball smashed into his face, and with this, our good old Kira gets locked off again. Silence filled the room. Kaiser walked off without acknowledging anyone. For him, it wasn't about survival, it was about dominance. After that, the real matches were announced. Team Z would face Team X in their first game. Everyone was still unsettled after the tag match, especially after witnessing Kaiser's ability. But despite his performance, Kaiser didn't care to lead or plan. He saw the match as another opportunity to shine, not as a team battle. The first official match in Blue Lock began. Team Z was up against Team X. From the first whistle, it became clear that no one on Team Z was interested in teamwork. Every player wanted to be the one to score. They ignored passing opportunities, overlapped each other's runs, and chased the ball without any structure. The field quickly turned into chaos. Team X took full advantage. Baro, their ace striker, didn't hesitate. He used the gaps in Team Z's defense and powered straight through them. With no coordination to stop him, he scored the opening goal with ease. Minutes later, he did it again. No one could read his movements or match his strength. By the time he netted his third goal, the score was 3-0. Kaiser, who had been watching the mess unfold, was visibly annoyed. He hadn't touched the ball much, and no one was playing with any strategy. The next time Baro advanced toward the goal, Kaiser stepped in. This time, things changed. Baro tried to dribble past him, but Kaiser shut him down with clean precision. His defensive pressure, awareness, and speed overwhelmed Baro. Kaiser took the ball, made a sharp turn, and launched a Kaiser impact into the net from distance. The power and accuracy silenced both teams. Not stopping there, Kaiser intercepted a midfield pass a few minutes later and drove toward the box. He scored again, with the score now 3-2. Kaiser casually signaled that he was done and stepped back to rest. The momentum shifted slightly. Isagi saw the opportunity and began adjusting. He observed the defenders, timed his movement, and finally found a passing lane. He played a sharp through ball to Bachira, who danced past two defenders and scored the equalizer, 3-3. Team Z had hope. Isagi regained the ball a few minutes later and spotted Kaiser making a run. He passed it to him, expecting a quick finish. Kaiser wanted to ignore him completely and let the ball roll past, but he chose to score. "I won't let you ride my success. This is my goal," he muttered. Kaiser would then score the winning shot. He chose to score despite the pass coming from Isagi, as it was the most logical thing to do despite the beef. Final score, 4-3. Team Z had won. Kaiser stayed silent after the match. while the rest celebrated the win. Isagi realized that without teamwork or at least cooperation, they wouldn't survive the next rounds. But Kaiser wasn't thinking about the team. He was thinking about himself. And in Blue Lock, that might be enough. For now, what do you think will happen in the next match?